So we know that living things are classified into groups, and we know that those groups become more and more specific as you go down the classification chart from domain down all the way to species. But how do we figure out what and where an organism fits into that system unless we are told the information? And one of the ways that we are able to figure out what type of organism we're looking at is by using something called a dichotomous key. And a dichotomous key is a classification tool. We use it to figure out what the identification of an organism is based on its characteristics. And we go and we answer questions as we go and go follow the flow chart until we finally come to the name of the organism. These dichotomous keys can be used to identify a previously known organism, but they can also be used to figure out where a brand new unknown organism would fit so that we have a better understanding of how the new organism is related to things we already know about. There's a second tool called a cladogram, which looks a lot like a family tree that can be used to study evolutionary relationships as well. But we are not really going to focus on the cladogram any further. So how do you use a dichotomous key? First of all, you're always going to start with the very first pair of characteristics. Even if you've already identified an organism and you followed the flow chart, if you're looking at a new organism, you always start with the first pair. Number 2, you're always going to read both choices and decide which one describes the organism you're looking at. So you aren't going to ever choose both. You're always going to choose one of the two options. And then once you've decided which option fits your organism, you're going to follow the direction seen at the end of the line until you no longer have directions on where to go next. You're given the name of the organism. So let's look at an example. If we look at the image of the moth on the page, we're going to start by reading the very first two statements. So 1A and 1B. And it says the insect has wings that are spread out, or the insect does not have wings that are spread out. And hopefully when you look at that image, you notice that the wings are spread out from side to side. So when you follow letter A to the end, it says go to number 2. Number 2, A says the insect has short antenna, and B says the insect has long antenna. And you may not recognize this because you don't have anything to compare to, but this one does have short antenna. So we're going to move on to number 3 as the directions say at the end of 2A. Number 3A says the insect has 2 sets of visible wings. 3B says the insect has 1 set of visible wings. And hopefully you can also see that this insect has a large wing on the top on each side and a small wing on the bottom. So it definitely has 2 sets of visible wings. And so when we follow that line all the way to the end, we no longer have instructions. We are given a scientific name for that organism. And you'll notice that the first name is capitalized, the second name is lowercase, and this one is not in italics, but it was a PDF, so I could not edit it. It should be in italics like some of the other scientific names are. Let's do another example. Number 1, we're going to look at A and B. The insect has wings that are spread out, or the insect does not have wings that are spread out. Hopefully you notice that this one, the wings are not spread out. Now, if you go to the very end, it says go to number 4. So we're actually going to completely skip question 2 and question 3. And we're going to move all the way down to number 4A and 4B. 4A says the insect has stripes. 4B says the insect does not have stripes. And I hope you agree with me that this one does not have stripes. So it says go to number 5. Number 5A says the insect has large dark spots. 5B says the insect is solid colored. I hope you notice there are large dark spots. So we are looking at Coccinella septempunctata. I just made that up. So